everybody, and welcome back to a new episode where we learn Scud. We play our game in our own changed setting and universe of Waterdeep, now called Waterdale, with new elements of the Industrial Revolution. Of course, our key feature remains a long-lost treasure. Last episode, Edmund and Fletch went to a scarefest. They need to uphold appearances while Caspian and his crew search for their two lost teammates. So, they just returned from this thrilling festival. But without further ado, let's all scoot into the paths of a new adventure. Boots and paws stomp over planks as both Edmund and Fletch return to Caspian's ship. Fletch trailed behind, equally miserable. He said nothing for a while. They were both done with this quest, done with the Skillbent Sigil, and especially done with Caspian.
You had to pick the bloody meat house first, didn't you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not enjoy being covered in pig's blood and screaming like a 5-year-old?
You screamed louder than I did.
They stood there, glaring at each other, tired, grumpy, undeniably bonded by this horrible experience. Gamaya stood off to the side, watching.
You still smell like blood.
So do you.
I hate you.
Likewise.
They didn't mean it.
So I stay home tomorrow. I'm done with these stupid festivals.
Oh yeah, screw Caspian. I'll swim back to Waterdeep if I have to.
A day off does sound nice. Technically, we already have the information from the mayor. We didn't need to be here.
The duo splits off, Edmund and Fletch each going their separate ways to end the evening however they wish. Fletch, for one, goes back to his room to brew new, fresh poisons for work. The small workshop, formerly just his desk, smelled like bitter herbs, irons, and just the hint of singe. Fletch had shed his outer layers, now in only his blouse and rolled-up sleeves, hunched over the work table like a crow over something gleaming. The light of a single lamp flickered over rows of tiny glass vials, crushed plant matter, and notes. His hands moved with visible familiarity, mixing a bit of milk grass powder with something thick and dark, venom extract he'd been saving for weeks. He stirred slowly, watching as the contents began to shimmer.
Dang it, Carlo, dang it! Ah, damn it!
The mixture hissed, then bubbled violently, letting out a puff of pink smoke that made Fletch recoil with a coughing fit. He pushed away from the table, waving the smoke off, eyes watering. One of the vials had cracked from the internal pressure, now leaking a vicious, sizzling liquid that began to eat into the wooden surface. He watched it for a moment, breathing through his teeth, annoyed but unsurprised.
Too unstable again. Stupid festival. One more, then sleep.
And so, Fletch resumed his work. On the other hand, we have Edmund, the one who did head to bed early. This day had been a horror show, and the unsettling dream that plagued him so regularly seemed to reinforce this unease. In the dream, she loomed over him, her form stretching far taller than he had ever known her to be, her twisted silhouette nearly brushing against the ceiling. The memory of that sight was etched vividly in his mind, the terror he felt as she slouched and advanced through the crowded atmosphere of the tavern. His heartbeat thundered in his ears, each pulse reverberating through his body, leaving him reeling and lightheaded. Nausea churned in his gut, a sharp, stabbing pain constricting his chest and abdomen. In a frenzy, her hand closed around his throat, hoisting him into the air before slamming him against the unforgiving wall. There he hung, suspended and motionless in her unyielding grasp. The incident which changed everything. Edmund stirred from his sleep in a panicked manner. His feline companion Heino woke from his slumber as well, his presence providing a small measure of comfort in the wake of such a haunting dream. Edmund paid no mind to Heino, his thoughts consumed by the remnants of that dream. It was the next day, early, much too early. The sun had yet to make its appearance, leaving the room shrouded in an oppressive darkness. The space was confined, suffocating, and the air felt heavy and stale. The meager furnishings, a chest, a bed, and a desk, seemed to press in on him. He remained seated, gasping for air, tears welling in his eyes. His hands instinctively rose to his neck, seeking the familiar phantom sensation of the fingers that had tormented his skin for months. But they were absent. His flesh had healed, yet the memory lived on. Moving with haste, he dressed himself, hurriedly putting on his dressing gown and slippers. An all too familiar sensation churned within him. He staggered out of his room, his head swimming with dizziness until he reached the ship's edge, and then it all came rushing out. He retched, tears stinging his eyes once more as he grappled with a profound sense of disgust and fear, the remnants of something utterly repugnant. He struggled with making sense of the dream he had, as well as the experience of puking in itself.
By the nine hells, Edmund, what's wrong?
The man tensed up at the sound of hurried, running footsteps echoing through the narrow corridors of the ship. His muscles tensed, a subtle shiver running down his spine as he sensed the arrival of an unexpected witness to his little moment. As the footsteps drew closer, he cast a harsh, sidelong glance in anticipation of the approaching presence. Her question met with only a few pained groans and grunts in response, his mood already soured. When she laid a hand on his shoulder, he grew startled, wide-eyed and terror-stricken, still refusing to meet her gaze. Instead, he turned away, torn between fear of her and shame of his own wretched state. Though she appeared calm, he couldn't shake the knowledge of what she was truly capable of. It was all a charade, another performance in the twisted drama that had become his life. In her eyes, he was nothing but a nuisance, a mere inconvenience born of her obsessive fixation on the past, a relentless pursuit that had spanned years. The words she uttered as she gripped his throat, her fingers tightening around his windpipe, turned and turned in his mind. She proceeded to tend to him, a flick of her wrist invoking a mysterious magic that had banished the repugnant taste of vomit from his mouth, along with the remnants that clung to his lips, moustache, and beard. He drew a deep breath, savoring the sudden relief that washed over him. Right, she had that spell. A cleaning spell. At least that particular ordeal had been resolved.
Seasickness.
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't get that. Come on, I know a few things to help you. Come inside, it's much too cold for you.
He felt weak. The events of the Scarefest had been too much. Leaning against the ship's railing, she stood by his side, her presence almost surreal. To have Kamaya so close, to stand beside her, to hear her voice and her innermost thoughts, these were the moments that felt both intimate and distant. He could hear her every breath, the swish of her tail in the air, and the dance of her hair in the sea breeze. And yet, despite their proximity, she seemed impossibly far away. His detachment from her, a chasm that had existed since their shared past, seemed to widen with each passing moment. The memories of their tumultuous history loomed between them, casting a shadow over their present interactions. It felt as though he stood beside a mere echo of the person she once was, a reminder of their shared past, rather than a living, breathing being. Though he listened to her words, his expression remained stoically indifferent, the biting cold gnawing at his exposed skin.
I'm going back to my room to change. I'll be leaving the ship for the day. I need a break.
What? That is not a good idea. I will not let you leave the ship. It's not smart, especially at this hour, and with everything going on. Please, let me come along to keep an eye out for you, or come back to bed. Where do you possibly need to go at this hour? It's a fisherman's town, nothing will be
I do
open.
not recall asking for your permission. I'll be fine, back off.
2 of your teammates have disappeared. The people behind it could be anywhere. You are going nowhere, Edmund. Be reasonable, Edmund. It's truly not smart to go alone. Let me come, even if it will be from a distance. What's really the matter? This is not about seasickness.
It's none of your business. I am leaving. You'll just have to fight me if you are this psychotic to keep me here.
As Gamaya's words sank in, he begrudgingly found himself in agreement with every point she made. He made up his mind, his steps heavy with resolve as he turned away from her and began to walk back to his room, gathering his stuff. If she truly cared, she would seek him out and ensure his safety, wouldn't she? The irony of her being the one to pursue him was not lost on him. He had endured this long on his own, and he was certain he could continue to do so. He refused to be governed by a haunting of his father's fear, not in the past and certainly not today. This, he realized, was about his freedom, a freedom he was determined to secure for himself. His thoughts were abruptly disrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Edmund's head tilted up as he listened, his senses on high alert. He quickened his pace, trying to escape from the pursuing woman. The moment he stepped inside the corridor, seeking refuge from the clear view of the deck, he felt forceful hands grab his shoulders. But before he could fully register what was happening, he was spun around and shoved against the wall of the ship's hallway. The suddenness of the encounter left him frozen in panic, his body tensed and unmoving. He took a quick glimpse left and right, peering over her arm to ensure that no one else was around. Satisfied that they were alone, he felt a wave of relief wash over him, grateful that there would be no further embarrassment at least.
You are staying here, Edmund, where I can find you. You need to be safe, Edmund.
As she continued to press about him leaving the boat, Edmund couldn't help but let out a small, disbelieving chuckle. It was clear to him that she wouldn't understand his reasons, but what followed only made the situation worse. To his shock and dismay, she leaned in to sniff him, her breath tickling his ear and neck, causing his skin to prickle and his hairs to stand on end. He stiffened, feeling the back of his head make a soft thud against the wall. The man wasn't wearing his cologne. This was, in a long while, the first time where Gamaya had smelled his semi-natural odor. Now, she doesn't approve of his ways, smoking, drinking, but she had to admit it added beautifully a delightfully addictive scent. Edmund shuddered. As Gamaya remained close, breathing became increasingly difficult for Edmund. He could feel the heat radiating off her body, her breath still teasing his skin. It felt as though he was cornered by a wild animal, a predator breathing down his neck. He felt frozen, as though any movement would provoke an attack. It was as if one wrong move, one deep breath, would be all it took.
Colleagues with benefits? Has that thought ever crossed your mind, Edmund? It has certainly crossed mine. I could relieve you. You don't feel anything for me, and that's fine. I'm only a door knock away if you need me.
What kind of shit has gotten into you? I've known you as a kid, we grew up together, there's too much history. I do not want to see you like this, back off. I, for you to finally get it through your thick skull, do not want anything to do with you. A stupid exclamation of your love, fine, but this needs to stop, Gamaya.
The tension snapped, broken. They broke apart. He hadn't expected her to be so forward, so vulgar. The surprise and revulsion were evident in his expression. Maybe it shouldn't come as a shock either. After all, she grew up on a farm. That little accent, the elegant behavior which often only fails miserably, it's all just an act. This is the real Gamaya. Vulgar and gross, greedy and barbaric.
Edmund, we are not the children we once thought we knew. You are not the boy I thought I knew, and I am not the girl you once knew. I've done so much wrong. We both have changed so much. How can we claim to know one another? What I know of you now is that you have become a stunning man, one with many troubles and a wall around your heart. A man who has given me a second chance despite everything. I'd like to get to know this man, not as the people we once were, but the people we are today.
No, I am the same person. You've got that wrong. As kids, we are more honest, more open. That's the whole thing about kids, and I am sure I got a good read on you as well. So that boy you knew, it's still me. All me, Gamaya. How can you tell me to my face that we never had history? Is that what your memory tells you? Really? No history? I meant every single thing I have ever said as a kid. I still do. I am that same aggravating child you hated. Still me. Don't tell me you have any idea what I'm like. Look, you may think I'm all those things, but no, I haven't changed. You're still that uptight, violent little prick I once knew.
Edmund, stop this. This is not you. I want to get to know you. I would like to know you on your worst days, on your best days, on the days where you weren't even quite sure, the days where it's better to stay in and listen to the rainfall. I'd love to know what your morning routines in the forest by horseback are. I'd like to see how you care so much for the animals around you, for the ones you are hesitant to meet, and the ones you welcome with open arms. I want to know how to help you when you are upset, or where your favorite places to go are.
I do not do horseback riding. We are in the middle of an industrial city. I cannot really have a favorite route in the forest either. I travel. And you know what I'm like when I'm upset. I drink, I fuck, I gamble. That is who I am. Oh Maya, again with your deluded view of me, aren't we?
Don't call me Maya. That sounds too intimate, and we are not close yet. I apologize for my behavior tonight. It probably made you feel disgusted, and I do not blame you. I'm sorry for making you feel violated. But please, Edmund, go to bed.
I do not forgive you. You cannot mend the past. It's something I will never recover from. I will hold you guilty for it for as long as I breathe. I will rub it in your face. And apologies, Lady Burke of Urga. I will be going to bed, and visiting the fortune teller tomorrow, during the day.
Gamaya's expression dropped, an acknowledgement, worry. But she would not pry. She would grant him the feeling of freedom, respite, and follow him in the shadows. Always a few paces behind, making sure he was safe. She reached out, hesitant. However, when her touch landed lightly on his arm for a second time, a shock of startled fear jolted through him again, causing him to flinch involuntarily. His eyes, widened with surprise, betrayed the turmoil within him, while his lips, subtly parted, struggled to form words that refused to come.
What are you doing?
As her touch lingered on his arm, Edmund found himself ensnared in a web of conflicting emotions. The sensation of her fingertips trailing across his clothed skin stirred a conflicting warmth within him, a response he had fiercely chastised himself for. Deep down, he knew he shouldn't be relishing the contact, especially given the circumstances, and yet he couldn't deny the unsettling thrill that coursed through him. Torn between the instinct to push her away and the inexplicable yearning for her closeness. But was it really her, or did he long for anybody? The fortune teller was still on his mind. Gamaya was of no importance. Edmund's gaze shifted from hers to his arm, her fingers gracefully traversing fabric. Gamaya backed away, showing him a gentle, patient smile.
Good night, Edmund. I hope you will sleep well for the remainder of hours until sunlight.
It was a dance. Both liars, both knowing one another's truth, but refusing acknowledgement, further confrontation, and so they danced on that same chord. Edmund was lying. He, in fact, would sneak out to find Celia, spend his time with her, and rebel against the oppressive force of Gamaya. And Gamaya, too, was lying. She knew he would sneak out despite himself. She feigned innocence to buy his lie. She bid him good night, and would stalk him for the remainder of that night and coming morning. But enough of that for now. We switched to Fletch, and to Fletch, morning came too quickly. The festival had left a residue on him, and not just physically. The scent of fake blood still clung to his fur no matter how many times he scrubbed, but it hadn't bothered him, not much, at least. Enough time had passed for his brain to differentiate reality and fiction, so the lingering effects the blood had on him had long since worn off. He knew the blood was gone. Fake. When he knows enough time has passed, then he always knows the blood is gone from his person, and therefore, he can breathe. He got dressed in silence. Just simple clothing of someone not expecting, well, anything from today. With a heavy exhale, he stepped out into the hallway of the pirate vessel. Fletch made his way toward where Edmund stayed, knocking once, then twice. No answer. That was enough reason to open the door, and nothing. The room was empty. Neat, too. The bed was made, the desk cleared. Edmund's room was always neat, so this wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but for him to be awake before Fletch? Now that was odd. Fletch's fingers clenched around the strap of his satchel. He'd never had a friend before, not like this. And just when he thought he'd found someone who didn't find him too much or too weird or too quiet, they disappeared. He exhaled sharply, turning to leave Edmund's bedroom. Maybe someone had seen him. Maybe there was an explanation. Maybe it wasn't personal. Still, Fletch walked a little slower, shoulders a little heavier. On his walk around the ship, Fletch found possibly the last person he wanted to see today.
Looking for something?
Hey, Edmund, he, left.
Left? What do you mean left?
No sign of him. Thought maybe you saw him.
I haven't seen him, but a letter came in for the Skillbent Sigil from Clarice. Figured you'd want to hear what it said.
Go on.
Alright. Averai is still injured. Arthur remains silent but breathing. I am capable of negotiation, and I will not act as a threat unless you pose as one. I am choosing diplomacy over violence. I only ask that, should you come, you do so in peace.
So, she's willing to talk.
We've found something beneath the city. A rat society living in the sewer system. Organized, structured, but they're being held hostage by the same group keeping Averai and Arthur.
So, Clarice?
It's your call. If you and Edmund, or what's left of the Skillbent Sigil, want to handle this on your own, I'll step back. Sometimes fewer blades in the room keep things calmer. Clarice might be more likely to talk if she doesn't see my crew, but if you decide you want backup, I'll be there. You just have to say the word.
I'll talk to Edmund.
But Edmund's Hulza was elsewhere. He sat slumped on a stone step outside a gentleman's club, one hand lazily pressed against his temple, the other shakily holding a half-burnt cigar between his fingers. His eyes were red-rimmed, half-lidded, the sharpness in them dulled by the hangover crawling through his skull. The night before was a blur. Laughter, warmth, drinks clinking, Celia's taunts, the crowd pressing too close, and Edmund trying far too hard to forget he cared about anything. Now the fun was gone, and all that was left was a throb behind his eyes and the taste of ash on his tongue.
You always look like hell when you drink like that.
Gamaya. She wasn't smiling. She never did when she found him like this. Edmund blinked slowly, rubbing at the bridge of his nose. He gave her a tired, sardonic look, but the usual bite wasn't there.
How thoughtful of you to arrive just in time to judge me.
I didn't have to arrive. I knew where you'd be. I followed you, Edmund.
He scoffed, trying to summon that sharp, sarcastic edge, but his voice cracked slightly.
Wonderful, that never ended terribly. And here I thought you'd finally stop chasing me.
You really are easy to find.
For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Edmund exhaled shakily, rubbing at his eyes with the back of his hand, like a man trying to wake up from a life he didn't remember asking for. And after minutes on end, he hadn't spoken for a while now. The morning had brightened, but it didn't feel any warmer. He sat hunched forward on the tavern stone step, his elbows resting on his knees. Gamai watched him, saying nothing. He didn't need more words right now, just quiet. Eventually, his posture loosened. His shoulders slackened, head tipping slightly forward. Not enough to fall asleep, but close. The kind of bone-deep weariness that lingered even after a night of so-called fun. He blinked, long and slow, then rubbed his brow with his thumb like he was trying to force the headache out through his skin. His hand fell back to his lap. Eyes slipped shut for a moment too long. His breath evened ever so slightly, just enough to betray it. He was dozing off. That was her cue. Gamaya stepped forward with a gentleness she rarely showed. She crouched beside him, reaching out slowly, almost hesitantly.
Hey, come on.
His eyes fluttered open, glassy and half-focused, but she was already easing his arm over her shoulder. With practiced care, she hoisted him up. Not in front like a bridal carry, nor in a piggyback, but reversed. His arms loosely draped over her shoulders, legs dangling at her sides, his head snug on her shoulder, and her arms wrapped around his back. But he didn't resist, not really.
I can walk.
I know, but you don't have to.
He sighed through his nose. No further protest came. The streets were quiet as she walked, early enough that the festival crowds hadn't returned, late enough that the night's mess had been mostly swept away. Gamaya carried him past shuttered stalls and crooked decorations, past a puddle glittering faintly with confetti and melted candle wax. She felt him shift once, his fingers curling slightly in the fabric of her clothing, and then go still. Her steps were slow and careful. She kept her arms steady beneath Edmund's weight, adjusting him when he shifted ever so slightly. He hadn't said a word in a while, his breath brushing warm and even against the side of her neck. Asleep, probably. Gamaya let the silence stretch, then broke it.
What do you want from me, Edmund?
Her voice was low and calm, but it trembled at the edges, like someone trying not to wake a child or not to wake a wound.
I could be a dream. I could be a friend. I could beg if you wanted that. I could tease you, make you smile or scowl. I am good at both, aren't I? I could be real, what you need. I could be a harlot in your bed or a hand to hold when it all falls apart. I could be a mother too, I suppose. God knows you bite like a son, that last one. I could be mad. I am mad. Mad for you. Mad from you. It's hard to tell anymore. I could be a support. I would. But you won't let me be yours.
There was no anger in it, just a raw kind of ache, a mourning for something that had never truly begun. She walked on in silence after that, lips pressed in a thin line, jaw clenched, not from the effort of carrying him, but from holding back everything else. And still, Edmund slept, or pretended to, and maybe that was easier for both of them. For a while, Gamaya thought he'd finally drifted off. Then, in a hoarse, worried murmur, just because his curiosity snapped.
Forgot I asked this by morning, would you? It's just the drink talking, but why do you love me? What is there truly to love?
She halted mid-step, startled by the question, by the fact he was still awake at all.
I suppose a plague just because won't satisfy you. There's much to admire, though you might argue the contrary. Your eyes, for one, golden as honey. The way you laugh, the grin you wear when you think no one's looking. You vex me at times with all your wit, but I've come to find even that endearing. You care for the creatures no one else gives a second glance. You're brave enough to speak your mind. Honest, sometimes brutally so. But I'd rather that than empty sweetness. And you may not feel the same, but I love that you're still here, still fighting your way forward. You act the gentleman, the cynic, the untouchable, but underneath it all, I see someone who's been left too often, lied to, used. I love you despite that, or perhaps because of it. I love you for who you are when no one's watching, even if you never return the sentiment, even if you curse me tomorrow or send me away, I'll still be here.
You have no regard for boundaries, do you?
None. At least not when it comes to you. I'm sorry for what they did to you, Edmund. I'm sorry for what I have done. I see you and I'll stay, whether you let me in or not.
He didn't speak again, but his head rested just a little more heavily against her shoulder. His breathing slowed. The walk back home was serene. Edmund had fallen asleep along the way. Gamai had tucked Edmund into bed when they came back, with as much gentleness as the man's ego would allow, drawing the curtains, setting a glass of water on the nightstand, and laying a cool cloth on his brow. He had mumbled something about not being an invalid before promptly dozing off again. The house was quiet, the sort of sacred stillness earned only after a reckless night. That is, until the front door flung open again.
There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. We had the day off. I thought we were finally going to... Never mind. You just vanished.
Fucking hell, Fletch. My head is ringing already. I'm right here. There's no reason to shout.
Hey, sure. Leave a friend hanging.
I needed a night away.
Still would have liked to know before you disappeared off the face of the earth. I just thought maybe we could hang out, do something stupid.
I didn't mean to blow you off.
Well, Caspian filled the silence. A letter came from Clarice.
Clarice?
Apparently there's a whole rat society under the city. They're stuck down there, and she's the one holding everything. Arthur. She says she's open to negotiate. Claims she's not a threat unless we make her one.
Bloody charming.
Caspian wants to know if you want to go alone. Said fewer blades in the room might keep her calm, but he's ready to back us up if we say the word.
Let's send a letter tomorrow morning. Let her know we'll meet that day.
Just us? I suppose dragging a whole crew to the door. I suppose dragging a whole damn crew to the doorstep of a volatile woman with hostages isn't exactly... And Gamaya...
We'll just ask her. If things turn sour, she can portal out.
You really think we can just walk into this Clarice mess and talk it out?
No, but I think it's worth trying. Words are cheaper than blood.
Blood. Do you think I'm a bad person?
What? No. If it's about, the first time you took a life, it wasn't for gold or fun. It was because someone was hurting your people. You acted out of defense, out of justice. That counts for something, Fletch.
Doesn't make me a good person.
No, but your intentions, those are good. The things you do, yes, they're bloody, criminal, reckless at times, but they're done for a reason. You protect, you believe it's your burden to carry. That doesn't make you evil.
It's like your family's colors.
How do you mean?
Well, you could stop wearing them. You didn't... It's a tie, is it not? To your past, to who you used to be.
So, what's your end goal then? What's the final sum you need to settle your debts? What's the number that makes you feel good again?
I didn't care.
How much more does your clan need? How much longer will you bleed yourself dry trying to prove something? Do you think there will ever be enough?
I think I need it. I need to repay.
You have been repaying your entire life. If there's a happier ending out there, I won't drag you down with me.
No way.
You never dragged me into anything, Fletch. The 10-year plan, that was my idea. I did some thinking. I have a proposition.
Hey.
Have you ever thought about being a herbalist?
What? Hey?
A herbalist, a drug trader, potion mixer, whatever term doesn't make you recoil. You already know your poisons, and you have experience in antidotes, haven't you?
I mean, I sort of.
Then you've got the foundations. You could start slowly, bit by bit, still doing your work, your assassination thing, but start building something better on the side. A second path, one with less blood.
So what? Kill someone in the morning, shop for herbs by sundown?
It does sound absurd when you put it like that, but if you wait for the perfect time, you will stay like this forever, stuck. There's no perfect redemption waiting for you, Fletch. Only the chance to begin. You keep punishing yourself for what you've done. What about trying to balance a skill, help a few people, sell something that heals instead of harms, and send that money back to your village even? Build something useful, something good.
You remember what I told you about the village, don't you?
Of course.
The oil company, they poison our rivers. Pump a fill through them like we were nothing. We tried everything, letters, protests. Ashwin even got the city guard involved, but nothing worked. Brianna, my sister, she got sick, and Finn, me younger brother, he's even more awkward than me. We had nothing, so when I got the job to kill that man, I thought I was saving us.
But after the exile, you kept going, right?
Aye. And now what? I just suddenly make medicine? I could have asked Finn to help with the herbs years ago. I could have started there. Do I even deserve to do this now?
Maybe not, but do the families deserve someone who learns not to make the same mistake again and again? Or someone who rips another family apart? Do they deserve someone who tries? You'll start hearing the stories from people who got better because of what you gave them. You'll see mothers hug their children, injuries patched and sickness soothed. That kind of thing, it doesn't make up for everything, but it makes a dent. And maybe that's enough to begin feeling human again. Unless, of course, you've got a better plan to sort it out yourself.
Helping people is what got me into this mess. Why try again?
Because staying like this is not going anywhere either.
I didn't have time for a shop.
You've had time for a pool last night and drinks the night before. You've got time, Fletch. It's about priorities. And if it's a money issue, I'll invest. A healthy investment, help a friend get on his feet. Besides, having a healer in the Skillbent Sigil sounds like a damn good upgrade.
I didn't even know if it would help.
Then try. If it feels good, keep going. You don't ask if you deserve it now, you ask that when you've made progress. We can leave it here if you want. You can think about it, but I will give you a deadline.
A what?
A month. I'm coming back to you in a month's time. Otherwise, you'll just shove it aside and pretend it never happened. Trust me, I know how easy it is to stick with routine. Guilt's comfortable, it's familiar, it makes you feel righteous. So I'm giving you a deadline. Confront it, that's how you start moving again.
You're just gonna force me to change my life?
Absolutely not worth my time. If you want to rot, I won't stop you. I'm not here to rescue you, but I am your friend, and I will try to be a positive influence, whether you accept it or not. I call this a fair exchange. You worsened my hangover, so now I will give you homework.
Lovely.
And with that, I think that's it. Thank you for listening to our episode of Loot and Scoot, with many more to follow. Next episode, the Skillbent Sigil will be retrieving their 2 party members, their 2 teammates, their friends, their allies, their people, their Jane Doe, their John Doe, their But for now, we've bothered you enough. Bye-bye.
Later.
Adios.